Within our initial planning stages of designing curriculum for Wales as a school, we started firstly by allocating time for our leaders within the individual areas to collaborate. Firstly, to maybe unpack the descriptors of learning as a starting point, just so that we could have that quick overview of the continuum of learning. And then that led us directly to looking maybe more individually on the principles of progression then, so that we could consider that continuum and that progression of the whole child throughout the school. We started with, as part of our school self-evaluation process at the end of last year, following the pandemic, and clearly in light of the introduction of Curriculum for Wales, we went about looking at the area of health and well-being in particular. And within that provision, we provide lessons which we called Gwersi Gydol Oes. They're lifelong learning lessons that are now implemented on the curriculum for Year 7 learners. And those lessons are a starting point in the first term of Year 7, considered in particular the resilience and the confidence of our learners, especially looking maybe at their oracy skills and how they could be developed, in particular as well their use of Welsh, following maybe the fact that they had been without that provision maybe at home.
So at the start of the year, to embed the different aspects of the new curriculum, we sat down as a department, but also with several other departments, and had a look at what areas that they felt that our pupils needed to develop or to work on, and would get the most benefit from if we worked on the start of the year. And from there then what we tried to do is focus on a different area and a different skill every half term. So we sent out a questionnaire then for the pupils to fill in early on in the year, where they also noted what they wanted to develop and what skills they felt they needed to work on and practice. So we feel then that there's more of a buy-in from the pupils then, because they see that their voice is heard and that we're working on skills that they also see a need to improve. So for instance, we spent one half term on the Minute on the Mic challenge, where we looked at pupils' presenting skills, because a lot of our pupils felt that they weren't comfortable speaking in front of large groups of people, or people they didn't know, for instance, in their class early on Year 7. So what we did then was we decided to work on those skills, where they started off in small groups and with people they knew, and presenting and looked at the different aspects of what makes a effective presenter, and then built those skills up. So again, it's a long process, but with the full half term, we felt that the pupils worked at their own speed then, and by the end, every pupil in the class and in Year 7 successfully managed to present in front of the rest of the class, which we saw was a big success.
O ran Muned ar y Meic, o'n i wedi dechrau gyda bwrdd ysbrydoli i dewis beth o'n i moyn wneud am y Muned ar y Meic, a oedd rhaid dewis 2 peth, a oedd rhaid gweithio ar y 2 peth yn parau wedyn. Yna o'n i wedi mynd mlaen i grŵp, ac ar ôl grŵp wedyn oedd rhaid dewis 1 pwnc, a oedd rhaid wneud mewn grŵp o flaen athro, neu athrawes, a wedyn un ar y tro o'n i wedi mynd lan wedyn i wneud ar flaen y dosbarth, a dde'n teimlad neis oherwydd o'n i'n datblygu y sgiliau dros amser.
As part of our evaluation and improvement activities on a whole school basis, we conduct learner dialogues quite regularly, and during these learner dialogues, what came to light during the past 2 terms were how our learners were making those natural connections maybe between their learning experiences and their progression from the lifelong learning lessons, and then how they were applying those to the skills and the experiences that were being developed, in particular in their Welsh and English lessons.
Mae'r Gwersi Gydol Oes wedi helpu gyda cyflwyniadau o flaen y dosbarth, fel o'n i wedi gwneud her Muned ar y Meic, oedd rhaid ni siarad am pwnc ein hunain am 1 muned o flaen y dosbarth. Mae hwnna wedi helpu fi gyda speeches a cyflwyniadau. Oedd fel fy hyder wedi mynd yn fwy, a fel siarad o flaen y dosbarth yn teimlo'n fwy haws nag arfer.
The feedback's been really good across the other subjects in the school as well. For instance, the languages, so Welsh and English, have noted how they see that pupils, after the Minute on the Mic challenge, are a lot more confident now and willing to offer answers in front of the class. So if they hold group discussions, pupils who maybe at the start of the year were quite reserved and quite quiet are a lot more ready now to contribute. and the pupils themselves have said that a lot of it's come down to the practice they had and the challenges they faced and overcame within the gydol oes lessons.
Mae llawer o pobl fel ffrindiau fi, oedd nhw really swill. Oedd nhw ddim moyn siarad, oedd nhw ddim yn hoffi fe. A oedd nhw ddim fel fi i dechrau, sydd yn oce. A wedyn oedd nhw wedi gwneud oedd pawb yn cefnogi ei gilydd, sydd yn bwysig iawn. A ges nhw'r hyder a oedd nhw'n amazing. Ydy, mae wedi helpu fi gyda Saesneg, oherwydd oedd angen i fi wneud cyflwyniad am fy arwr. A fi wedi gwneud datcu fi, oedd yn really dda, oherwydd oedd fi'n cael y hyder.
So we're also working, we work a lot on their ICT skills, so using the computers and the Chromebooks to develop those skills, as we see them again as an essential skill in life. So a lot of the focus of the gydol oes lessons are not just skills that will benefit them within lessons and across the different fields of the new curriculum, but also outside the classroom. So when they go for jobs, job interviews, obviously if they're dealing with customers, being able and being confident enough to speak to customers and people they don't know is such a massive skill and an area that hopefully will benefit them in the long term.
So they also spoke about how their confidence developed then within those activities in particular, and then they were able to refine those skills even further within the Welsh and English settings, and those connections really were made quite organically from the learner's point of view, and they came to light, as I said, during the learner dialogues then. So one of the main focuses for us as a school this year has been to develop a shared understanding of progress and to really consider how our assessment processes and good pedagogy are clearly interlinked. This year definitely hasn't been without its challenges. One of the main reasons clearly has been the pandemic, and then having to balance that with staff workload moving forward. So it has been quite a challenge to ensure that we can allocate time to collaborate together. So we've also been trying to challenge our thinking around the difference between progress and attainment. Clearly with the national curriculum as it stands, we're quite used to implementing quite a tick box activity focusing maybe on attainment alone, where the curriculum for Wales now challenges us to avoid those activities entirely, to think about the real reason and the purpose maybe of our assessment strategies moving forward. So what we've done this year now is to try to focus on our formative assessment strategies and practices as a whole school and on a departmental and an area basis. So this is definitely an evolving process, and it's something we're looking to develop further now as we continue with our curricular design.